What really happened when Jungkook stepped onto the stage of the Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, and suddenly, the entire world went silent. Welcome back to Jungkook Lover, your number one source for the most shocking, emotional, and mysterious BTS updates. Before we dive in, make sure you hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe right now, because what you're about to hear might change everything you thought you knew about Jungkook. Because tonight, his acoustic Arirang didn't just shake the stage, it shook the world. Was this just a performance, or a hidden message we weren't supposed to understand yet? No one could have predicted this moment. Not the producers, not the global audience, not even the most dedicated fans of BTS. Because when Jungkook appeared under the soft glow of stage lights on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, something felt different before he even sang a single note. There was no explosive intro, no dramatic build-up, no overwhelming stage effects, just silence. And in that silence, the presence of Jungkook felt heavier than ever before. He sat down slowly, a guitar resting gently against his body, his fingers brushing the strings as if he was trying to calm something inside himself. The camera zoomed in, capturing a version of Jungkook that the world rarely sees. Not the global superstar, not the golden magne, just a man, holding something back. And then, without warning, he began. The first note of Arirang echoed across the studio, soft and haunting, instantly transforming the atmosphere into something almost sacred. It didn't sound like a performance meant to impress, it sounded like a story meant to be felt. And that's when everything changed, because as Jungkook continued singing, something unexpected happened. The audience didn't scream. They didn't cheer. They didn't even move. They listened. Every lyric carried a weight that felt too real, too personal. His voice, usually known for its strength and perfection, now carried a subtle tremble, one that made every note feel fragile, almost like it could break at any moment. Was it intentional, or was this something deeper, something he couldn't fully control? Within seconds, social media exploded. Clips of the performance spread across platforms, fans replaying every second, analyzing every detail. Some noticed the way his eyes briefly closed during the chorus. Others pointed out the slight pause before the final line, an almost imperceptible hesitation that somehow felt louder than the song itself. What did it mean? Why did it feel so different? And why did it feel like something more than just music? Because Arirang is not just a song, that its history, its identity, that its emotion woven into melody. And Jungkook didn't just perform it, he transformed it. The acoustic arrangement stripped away everything. No heavy instrumentation, no background vocals, no distractions. Just his voice, his guitar, and something else, something invisible, yet impossible to ignore. Even Jimmy Fallon seemed affected. Known for his energetic and playful personality, he stood there in rare silence as the performance ended. The usual applause felt delayed, almost hesitant, as if the audience needed a moment to return to reality. Because for a few minutes, they weren't just watching a show. They were witnessing something raw, something real. But the mystery didn't end there. If anything, it had only just begun. As the performance went viral, fans began digging deeper. Old interviews resurfaced. Past lyrics were re-examined. Tiny details that once seemed insignificant suddenly felt like clues in a much bigger story. Some fans believe this was Jungkook's way of reconnecting with his roots, a powerful reminder of his identity in a world that often demands constant reinvention. Others, however, are not so sure, because there was something about the way he sang that final line, something that didn't feel like a beginning, but an ending. A quiet, almost invisible ending. And that idea has sent shockwaves through the global fanbase, because Jungkook has always been seen as the future. The one who continues to evolve, to grow, to push boundaries. Why did this performance feel like he was letting something go? As discussions intensified, one question kept resurfacing. Why now? Why choose this moment, this stage, this audience to reveal such a vulnerable side? Unless it wasn't just a choice. Unless it was something he needed to do. Theories began to spiral. Some speculate that this marks a new artistic direction, one that embraces simplicity, authenticity, and emotional depth over perfection and spectacle. Others fear a more dramatic shift, a change that could redefine not just Jungkook's career, but the future of BTS itself. Because let's be honest, Moments like this don't happen randomly. They mean something. They signal something. And whether we're ready or not, they change something. Even non-fans found themselves drawn into the performance. Comments flooded in from people who had never listened to BTS before, many saying the same thing. They didn't understand every word, but they felt every emotion. That's the power of what happened that night. Jungkook didn't just perform, he connected that on a level that goes beyond language, beyond fandom, beyond expectations. But perhaps the most haunting part of all this is what we still don't know. Because behind that calm expression, behind that controlled voice, behind that simple acoustic arrangement, there was something else, something hidden, something unresolved. And the more fans watch the performance, the more they feel it, that quiet tension, that subtle sadness, that unspoken message. Was it real? Or are we seeing what we want to see? Because if there's one thing that makes this moment so powerful, it's the uncertainty, the mystery, the feeling that we're witnessing something important without fully understanding it yet. And maybe that's exactly how Jungkook wanted it. Not explained, not confirmed, just felt. So now the world waits, watching, rewatching, searching for answers in every note, every breath, every silence. Because deep down, everyone feels it. Something changed that night. The only question is, was Jungkook's breathtaking acoustic Arirang performance a powerful new beginning, or the first quiet sign that something we love is slowly coming to an end? And just when the world thought the moment had passed, it came back stronger. Hours after the broadcast on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, something unusual began happening across global platforms. The performance didn't just trend, it lingered. It refused to disappear. Clips kept resurfacing, gaining more views, more reactions, more interpretations with each passing hour. It was as if the world wasn't done with it yet, and perhaps it never would be. Fans began noticing details they had completely missed during the first watch. The way Jungkook slightly adjusted the tempo during the second verse. The almost invisible inhale before the final chorus. The way his fingers hesitated, just for a fraction of a second, before striking the last chord. Tiny details. But in moments like this, tiny details become everything. Because when an artist of Jungkook's level does something different, it's never accidental. And that realization started to change everything. Discussion threads grew longer. Fan theories became more intense. Emotional reactions turned into deep analysis. Some fans even compared this performance to iconic turning points in music history. Moments where an artist reveals a new identity without explicitly saying a word. Could this be one of those moments? Because if it is, then what we witnessed wasn't just a staged, it was a transition. A quiet, almost invisible transformation happening right in front of millions of eyes. Even more intriguing was the reaction from inside the industry. While official statements remained minimal, subtle responses began to surface. Musicians, producers, and critics posted cryptic messages, short, but loaded with meaning. Words like raw, rare, unfiltered, and unexpected appeared again and again. No one was saying everything, but everyone was saying something. And then came the silence from Jungkook himself. No follow-up post. No explanation. No behind-the-scenes clip. That nothing. In a world where every major performance is usually followed by immediate engagement, this silence felt deliberate, almost strategic, because sometimes saying nothing says more than anything else ever could. Meanwhile, fans continued to revisit the history of Arirang itself, a song deeply rooted in emotion, often associated with longing, separation, and journeys that don't always have clear endings. And suddenly, the choice of song didn't feel random anymore. It felt intentional, almost symbolic. Was Jungkook trying to say something about his own journey, about where he's been and where he's going? Or perhaps about what he might be leaving behind? Because the deeper fans looked, the more questions appeared. Why did his voice carry that particular tone during the final verse? Why did the arrangement feel so stripped, so vulnerable, so exposed? And why did it feel like he was holding back? Something even bigger? Some fans believe that this was only the beginning, that this performance is a preview of a new musical direction, one that will redefine Jungkook as an artist beyond everything we've seen before. Others aren't so convinced, because for them, this didn't feel like a beginning. It felt like closure. A quiet, emotional closure wrapped inside a beautiful performance. And that difference in interpretation has created one of the most intense debates within the global BTS fanbase in recent years. Is this evolution? Or is this farewell? Because both can look surprisingly similar when they first begin. What makes this moment even more powerful is the way it reached beyond the fandom. People who had never followed Jungkook before suddenly found themselves watching the performance multiple times, trying to understand why it felt so different. Some described it as haunting. Others called it healing. And a few said something even more unexpected, that it felt like watching someone say goodbye without using the word. But is that really what happened? Or are we projecting emotions onto a moment that was simply meant to be artistic? Because the truth is, we don't know. And that uncertainty is what keeps the world watching. Because if there's one thing Jungkook has mastered over the years, it's the ability to connect without explanation. To make people feel something so deeply that they don't need answers. They just need the moment. And yet, this time feels different. This time feels bigger, heavier, more significant. Because something about this performance refuses to be forgotten. It lingers in the mind, in the heart, in the quiet moments when the music has already ended, but the feeling remains. And maybe that's the real impact of what happened on that stage. Not the notes, not the lyrics, but the silence that followed. A silence filled with questions. A silence filled with possibilities. The silence that continues to echo across the world long after the spotlight faded. So now, as millions continue to replay that unforgettable acoustic Arirang stage by Jungkook, one question grows louder with every passing day. Was this the moment he chose to show us who he truly is? Or the moment he quietly began to say goodbye to everything we thought he was?